Hi folks, welcome to this week's Sunday Catechism on a boiling hot day here in Newcastle with the sun pouring in the window. Let me have a look actually. We are here, of course, in the Shorter Catechism. We are at question 25 and I'll read that in a moment, but I just want to say something, that we reflected on this morning in church. Which is, it's hard for us to get hold of, but so important. You see, our tendency is to come to something saying, what do we get out of this? And even when it comes to Christ, we say, yeah, but what does Christ give us? And the reality is we need to be able to perform this very difficult task of turning the focus away from ourselves and onto Christ. Ironically, by so doing, we are set free and we are much more helped. But if we turn to Christ in order just to help ourselves, then the focus is still on ourselves and not on Him. And so we really want to get to this position where we are seeking the beauty of Christ for Himself. Now that's where the Catechism comes in, because I think it's really helpful here. So let me read question 25. How does Christ fulfill the office of a priest? As a priest, Christ gave Himself up once as a sacrifice to satisfy divine justice and reconcile us to God, and continually intercedes for us. How does Christ fulfill the office of a priest? As a priest, Christ gave Himself up once as a sacrifice to satisfy divine justice and reconcile us to God, and continually intercedes for us. Now, you'll see the different functions there. What is beautiful is here's a priest who doesn't sacrifice other things, animals, people, or whatever. He sacrifices himself. That is extraordinary. That is what satisfies divine justice. We need the God-man to do that. And He does it to reconcile us to God. And as a priest, He continually prays for us. He continually intercedes. So it's really two things that He does. He sacrifices, and He sacrifices Himself, and He intercedes. Now the proof texts that are given for this, I'm just looking across just now at my catechism, and they're all from Hebrews, which is great because I think Hebrews is the book about Christ the priest, our Christ our priest. Hebrews chapter 9 and verse 14. How much more then will the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered Himself unblemished to God, cleanse our consciences from acts that lead to death, so that we may serve the living God? Christ offered Himself unblemished, the perfect sacrifice. And that's what cleanses us. Verse 28 of that same chapter, Hebrews 9. So Christ was sacrificed once to take away the sins of many, and He will appear a second time, not to bear sin, but to bring salvation to those who are waiting for Him. So Christ sacrificed. You go into Hebrews 10, of course, and all of Hebrews 10 is about Christ sacrificed once for all. And then earlier in Hebrews, another proof text that the Westminster Divines gave was Hebrews chapter 2 and verse 17. Beautiful this. For this reason He had to be made like them, fully human in every way, in order that He might become a merciful and faithful high priest in service to God, and that He might make atonement for the sins of the people. So the priest had to be human, and the priest had to make atonement for the sins of the people. That's what Christ did. And then Hebrews 7. And as I say, there are many other verses they could have taken. Verse 24 to 25. But because Jesus lives forever, He has a permanent priesthood. Therefore He's able to save completely those who come to God through Him, because He always lives to intercede for them. So you imagine a priest being someone who prays for you and intercedes for you. But the trouble with every human priest is, 1, they're imperfect, 2, their sacrifice is imperfect, and 3, they die, and they cannot continue to intercede for you. But Jesus is perfect, His sacrifice is perfect, and He lives forever to intercede. I still think the notion of Christ praying for me is astounding, almost unbelievable, entirely beautiful, and so reassuring and comforting. And I hope you feel the same way. God bless you. May the Christ, who, as we've seen, is the prophet, now the priest. Next week we'll see what it is for Christ to be the King. Bye.